Very good afternoon once again. Thank you very much for joining us on this sunny Friday afternoon for yet another uLaw webinar. Just want to make sure that you're aware that this webinar is not accredited for CPD, but it's still going to be a very informational session where we're going to be talking about document management and one of our newest features within uLaw that allows you to integrate a cloud document management solution such as Google Drive, and how documents are now be able stored online, Google Drive, and referenced simply and easily into uLaw. I'm going to leave the screen for just a couple more seconds before I could have everyone else into the Join Me room, and I'm just going to get started after that. The idea today is to walk you through a brief presentation of the different choices and options that you have. Again, the title of our webinar today is Document Management Simplified. We're going to be covering the following things in the agenda today. What does document management mean in the cloud? So we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of cloud-based document management, some options that you have as legal professionals for storing your information or documents really on the cloud. Again, sharing some of the pros and cons of what it means. We've kind of included some key players, industry leaders who are moving forward with cloud-based document management systems such as Google Drive, Dropbox, Box. We're not going to dwell too much into the differences between these systems, but I will certainly try and highlight some of the key differences when it comes to these different systems. They're all great options, but just like anything else in life, it's an option that you have to choose and pick. Then we're going to be focusing, after we speak a little bit about cloud-based storage, we're going to be speaking about how we at uLaw are in the path of seamlessly integrating your current uLaw system to these cloud-based storage systems. So we've started the path by making sure we choose Google Drive for its cost effectiveness, ease of use, as well as availability. Those are the three considerations, and the fact that it's probably one of the most widely used cloud-based document storage out there, combining with the email and other facilities and apps that Google provides. For everyone who has just logged in, kindly use the join.me/uLawPractice for the video, and we do have our numbers open up. So we're going to be showcasing how uLaw and Google Drive work with each other. We're going to see how easy it is to drag and drop documents that you generate out of uLaw into your Google Drive account. And we're going to open up the floor for any questions. We're going to try and do this through the chat window today. As you logged in to Join Me, we use Join Me very often within uLaw for screen sharing, as well as for any conferences that we have or for webinars. So we would kindly request if you could start thinking about the different questions that you have in mind and use the chat window for any questions. Perfect. As I continue to walk through my slides, I do find sometimes Join Me has certain issues when it comes to connection, but I think we're going to be all good today. So the first screen that I talk about here are what are some of the pros of cloud-based document management. Right at the bat, you have the fact that it's cost-effective and convenient. Now, the fact that it's cost-effective, just a quick example, Google Drive provides you 15 gigabytes of free storage space. I don't know if many of you know that, but that's the highest free storage that any industry leader in the document management space provides. So they, right off the bat, they get you started with 15 gigabytes, and all you need is a Gmail account. They have combined Drive along with your Gmail account for all other purposes. And you are able to purchase extra space with all other providers as you go along, and each of them have their own pricing models. And why is it cost-effective and convenient? Well, the fact that it's convenient is that you really don't need an IT guy to be able to back up, store all these documents. You are able to do that at a click of a button. All these different storage solutions are now amplified, if you will, which means that Google Drive, Box, Dropbox, and OneDrive are now available on your tablet or your phone. So if you're on the drive, if you're on the run, and you have receipts that you have to disbursements and receipts that go along with your legal office, now you're able to take pictures. You're able to take pictures of driver's license if you have to use that for verification, and we'll show how we use that. So you have this convenience of using technology as has it's evolved for document management purposes as well. It's anytime, anywhere access, and as I was just explaining, the fact that we are now in a very connected world, whether that's based and primarily based on the internet, our devices, whether that's your phone, tablet, computer, are all connected to the internet, making it easily available on the cloud for you to access that information at any time and anywhere, as long as there's an internet access to get to that place. So you're not constricted by needing that document storage to be in your laptop and you carry it along, just like the old school. It is secure. It's a secure access, so all of the leading document storage solution providers are HTTPS certified. What that means is that they provide an encrypted access using username and password to allow you to get into the different storage options that you have. And they also enable automated backups, which means that you don't have to worry about the sanity of having those documents backed up on a regular basis to ensure that it's secure. We've had clients who store a lot of their information on their local drive, and God forbid, if there's a virus attack and you have to, and if you've not taken your own backup, then those documents are lost and gone, and many times that could be sensitive information as well. So the whole perceived notion of if I have it in my own machine, it's secure, is not the case anymore. With security and maturity coming around, have secured the cloud has become today, as good as your online banking, if you will. And a very important aspect, I would say, to the whole document storage. Okay, so someone's asking about the sound. Kindly dial into phone numbers. I apologize that I'm taking this time. So when you look at the different types of documents that you deal with on a daily basis, they're not always the same format. I was talking about being able to scan a driver's license as an example, and many times these file formats could be bitmap, PNG, JPEG. Your documents that you generate out of uLaw could be PDFs, could be Word documents. So you have various different file formats that come into play as you use your law firm's document management storage solution. So cloud-based storage solutions enable that by allowing you to store multiple document formats, and we're going to quickly walk through an example of how that's done. So moving along, I hope you're able to see the screen which says pricing plans. Now, we just had this as an informational slide. You are obviously very equipped, as anyone else is, to go and do your research on Google. I guess we all, in a way, are, I would say, stuck with Google as a search engine optimization tool or as a search engine tool, period. So you are able to do your due diligence, but we're trying to highlight some of the four, I would say, industry leaders in this space that are very, very convenient and cost effective. So as I said, Google Drive provides you 15 gigs of data at no charge with just a Gmail account. I think you can buy 100 gigs of data if you like for $2 a month extra, or you could buy it for $10. You could buy 1 terabyte, and this is a lot of data space, really, because an ideal, solo, small, mid-size law firm, in our limited experience, should not have anywhere, more than 50 to 100 megabytes anyways. And some of the sole practitioners find themselves way lower than the 15 gigs that Google provides. Dropbox, Box, and Microsoft OneDrive all have their own set of options, very competing options. All these products have their own features and functionalities that allows them to differ in terms of their feature set. For example, Google Drive would not necessarily allow you to edit a Word document, whereas Dropbox or Box gives you that native Word experience if you have to collaborate within your team on that one document. And obviously Microsoft OneDrive would do that because they are the ones who created Word. Before I move on to the next slide, just another quick item to note is that all these different document storage providers do provide your own desktop utility. Okay. Before I just touch upon the quants real quick, so I just want to highlight that all of these document storage do provide their own desktop utilities, which means you can download a Google Drive desktop utility that allows you to just drag and drop documents just like you would do it on your own computer. So certain law firms, certain practitioners are so used to using one device, and this has made it convenient and easy for all of them to do that. If you have a very secured network-based law firm environment, you could use these utilities, allowing for others in that network only to access these different cloud storage options. Now, obviously, we'll need to talk a little bit about the cons. I'll come probably bottom up. Sometimes there is a perceived lack of control. What that really means is, again, just like anything else in life, when it's on the cloud, you're like, what if somebody's having access to it, right? There's always that perceived notion that it's not secure on the cloud. And there's really not much that can be done to, I would say, take away that perception totally. But I think as the industry is maturing and as banks and as all other parts of life are becoming more connected and on the internet, I think at a point it becomes very obvious and there isn't much of a choice but to get rid of that perception and believe that it is secure. And all these providers, and that's why you would probably want to choose an industry leader, because they have a very stringent support, maintenance, and SLA-based access to their environment. And that's my second point from bottom up. One of the cons, obviously, is you are governed by the SLAs or the agreement or support and maintenance agreement that these providers provide you. Here's a good example. They may have quarterly or sometimes nightly maintenance shutdowns that they would have to do to ensure the performance is available. So it's not necessarily 100% availability. It's always about a 99.9% availability because they are going to shut down, and mostly it's at night when you're really not awake, but that's something to keep in mind. Storage limit, we spoke about that. I mean, it is what it is. It's a very commoditized world as we step into it, and that's how they get to you. They give you freebies. I mean, Dropbox provides you with 2 gigabytes. Box provides you with a much smaller version for free. So they all get you started free so that you get hooked into that system, and then obviously charge you additional for each plan depending on the size of the files that you have. And the topmost con for any cloud-based, any system period, including document management, is the need for internet. So if you were working off your desktop, you may want to store that locally. If you're not connected, if you're in a place where there is no internet, you may want to store that locally. And when the internet does come up, you are then able to upload all those documents to that storage. So really moving on, so we've kind of touched upon in the last 15 minutes about the different types of industry leaders when it comes to cloud-based storage. We spoke about Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, and Microsoft OneDrive. And I'm sure you know that if you do have a Windows machine, that OneDrive does come with it. If you're a Mac user, then obviously you would have the top three Google Drive, Box, and Dropbox as options. We do come across customers asking us about these private storage systems. So there's a distinct difference between a cloud storage software or a cloud storage system compared to a cloud document management system. And the difference really is a cloud storage. So example, you go to Best Buy and let's say you buy a Western Digital hard drive or an external hard drive for 1 terabyte. Now I think they do give you the access to an online version of the same 1 terabyte. So whatever you have on that physical hard drive is now available on the cloud-based as well. But it provides you just a mere access to those information or the documents. When I talk about Google Drive, Box, or Dropbox, they allow you to collaborate using those documents, have version control, have multiple users access the document at the same time. So it's more a document management solution than just a storage solution. What are we going to, hopefully I'm going to take the next 15 minutes to showcase how we have envisioned within uLawPractice. Again, uLaw, for those who don't know, we're a cloud-based legal accounting and practice management software. We're Canadian. Our product is hosted in the Canadian soil, and we work with legal professionals, solo, small, medium, and large law firms in what we do. And for those who currently do use uLaw, this is obviously a big step up for them. In the past, where you were probably storing your information or your documents, locally, now you have the opportunity to store those documents as you generate them from uLaw or anywhere else onto Google Drive. We've started with Google Drive now. By end of June, we'll be bringing in Dropbox, Box, and OneDrive, and that's in our roadmap to bring. And I'm going to show you how easy it is for you to integrate with Google Drive, how documents can be then stored physically in Google Drive but easily referenced within uLaw, then allowing you to save all that information, matter-related information, in one place. So it's almost a single source of truth, if you will. It's a one-time setup, so it's as easy as setting it up one time, and then after which Drive, so we've done it through an API call between Google Drive and uLaw that makes it easier for you to authorize and refresh after that one-time setup. And I'll show you how that's done too. You will see how easy it is to drag and drop all these downloaded documents from uLaw into your Google Drive and making that available back into uLaw. And a side note here, and this was one of the questions that came up from one of our previous webinars, is about encryption. Now, I would highly recommend that you read through the encryption policies that these storage software or solutions provide you. As of 2013, I know that Google Drive does encrypt your document, but they hold the key, obviously, for the encryptor or whatever is the password that they use. Now, if you would like to encrypt these documents using your own password or passkey, then you do have a few options, but that's something that is in your control to do, and it's your responsibility. For example, if there is a document that you're working on, and before you upload it into Google Drive, you would actually like that to be encrypted, you have a few options. So you have Boxcryptor is one of the most common software out there that I think integrates very seamlessly with the Google Drive. I shouldn't say I think it does integrate very seamlessly with Google Drive. And there's another option called Exantum. All you have to do in Google is search for client-side document encryption. And it's going to give you a wide variety of, when I say client-side, it means that you have control over doing that using your desktop, laptop, or any machine that you have. And the way it works is you use that document, you upload it into Boxcryptor first. They give you, when you sign up for them, they allow you to set up your own password. Now, once you've encrypted it using Boxcryptor, you can then take that encrypted document and then upload it into Google Drive. If you are to open it or download it to view it, it's going to prompt you for that password that you set up with Boxcryptor, and then once you enter the right password, it would decrypt the document and give you the document. So that's really the flow. But I mean, today's world, with the security, with the HTTPS, and the fact that it's encrypted anyways, very few clients are going to look for this option. But if you are one of those who are very particular about double making sure the encryption is there, then you still have that option from a technology perspective. Again, one of the benefits, and I think I've spoken about this, it's making all the documents available in one place. It's kind of a drag and drop, making it easier for you to organize. And we at uLaw decided not to reinvent the wheel. We really didn't want to pass not only cost, but also inflict on reinventing what's already done. These players have taken the investment to build something that's unique in this industry, and I think as technology partners, we're looking to maximize that investment and make it easier on our clients without any additional charge. So again, this feature in uLaw is at no extra charge, and it comes along with the base product as you have it today. If you don't see it today, I'll show you how you can do it right away within uLaw. Now let me shift gears. I think I've spoken quite a bit. Now let me shift gears to open up uLaw. Those who currently use uLaw, I'm sure you're very familiar with this user interface. I'm using our Roger Moore test or playground account. And ideally what you would do is, let's say we create a contact. I'm not going to authorize into Google yet, but let's say I create a new contact. One of my favorite characters, and one of the newer features within uLaw, it's always been there, but we just call it AKA now, is we'll call it Mr. Brown. As you know, it's really important that you provide a communication address, so let's go ahead and do that. Make that as Mr. Bean's mailing address. And yes, you can always go ahead and add a couple of addresses as well. But I'm going to stop with this to highlight more on the document management. So I'm going to hit Save and Matter. So you've created a contact. You could have done a conflict check. You could have done many other things, but I'm just going to go directly into the matter. Now there's two things here. What you probably see within the matter screen today are all these tabs. You're going to notice a very new tab called Documents within the uLaw Matter screen. And if you've not given attention to it, we kindly request you do going forward, because this is the tab where all the documents related to this file are going to reside. So now let's go ahead and give him let's go ahead and create this really fictitious matter. And you continue to use the way you use for all other purposes of uLaw. You would docket your time, you would put in your disbursements, you would add additional parties, you could have multiple rates. But now with Documents, you have the ability to integrate with Google Drive. And before I move on to that, how do we connect uLaw to Google Drive? And it's just like anything else, it's within our Settings tab at the top right corner. So if you go in your Settings tab today, if you're not already using this feature or not aware, then you probably want to go into Matter. And the last option here is asking you, where are your Matter documents going to reside? And as I mentioned earlier in this webinar, we currently have started our journey of document integration with Google Drive. We are, by end of June, hopeful to bring the integration very similar to the same concepts of Google Drive within Dropbox, Box, and OneDrive. And as you can probably notice, you do not provide your username password to us within uLaw. So that's one step further that we've taken, making it an easy setup for you to access these different storage systems. You do not have to provide us your username and password. I'll show you how we prompt that when time comes. So this would probably be the first step that you take. for you to get started with your document management. Come into the settings. Under Matter, the last option is providing us that you want to integrate with Google Drive, and that's all there is. Once you've done that, let's generate a few documents. So let's hit on the Documents tab. And here's where uLaw is asking, because I've previously logged into our info at uLawPractice.com, it's basically prompting me which Google Drive do you want to access. So this is how we authorize into uLaw. And this would be your Google Drive or Gmail account that you provide. And once you've done that, you want to hit the refresh screen. Once you've done that, basically what uLaw does is it authorizes that username, Gmail username, password, and then it connects Google Drive or Gmail with uLaw. And the way it connects, the unique reference that it connects with is the file number. Now let me show you by logging into my Google Drive. As you can see, I'm logged into info at Superfluid Software, uLawPractice.com. We do use Gmail internally in our company. When we integrate uLawPractice with Google Drive, the first thing that it does, under the main My Drive folder, it creates a folder called uLawPractice. And under uLawPractice, it creates another folder, and we create this. And when I say it creates, once you do that connection, these are all the steps that happen behind the scenes. It creates a folder called uLawPractice, and it creates another folder called Matter under uLawPractice. And now when you refresh, the fact that you do have a file number, RA67393, you should see a folder, and as you see here, RA67393, which matches the file number. So we create these three folders for you. Once you get into a Matter, create a file number, and hit the Documents tab. As you can see, there are no documents at this stage that is available on this folder. So let's generate a few documents. Okay? So I may be able to go in. Let me go back to Matters and start generating some Matter documents, but you could generate other documents too. Right from uLaw. So let's say you could, first thing you do is do a client ID verification. Let's generate that document. So that is how traditionally uLaw would download a document. Top left downloads it. Now what you're able to do is take that and just drag and drop it into the Google Drive. And this is how as easy would be with Box, Dropbox, and OneDrive. Okay? So now that I've logged it, it has confirmed that this document is available. When I go into my Documents tab, it's going to refresh, and it's going to bring up that PDF document. Okay? So I know you're all excited, and I can't hear you, but I'm sure you're all screaming at the top of your head. Maybe not. So let's do a quick conflict screening report. But the idea is the same. You generate the document from uLaw, drag and drop it into the Google Drive for that matter. And as you continue doing that, you could either do a manual refresh or uLaw would automatically refresh it for you. And the important aspect to realize here is that now you have a very chronological structure of all the documents that you generated, date and time stamped. So you're able to sort through. Yeah, someone likes it. Yeah, that's it. That's the way to go. So you can now sort it by created date. And we also do a real-time integration with these documents. For example, you may still want to use these documents and collaborate with your other employees or other staff members or other colleagues who use Gmail, and you have a common practice. So Gmail itself has some wonderful features. You can preview that document. You can add others and you can give them access to that document. It also provides a quick list of who the owner is, when was last modified, and file size. And that's exactly what we provide you here within uLaw, so you don't have to go into Google Drive to check that out. But let's move ahead and with one more item that I want to show you. So let's say you go into your details, okay? And let's say you provide, I think this is for Rowan Atkinson, it was conflict screening. So let's go ahead and add a description. And I'm doing this in my Google Drive. I'm not even in uLaw right now. And you're just adding an additional information or description about that particular file. Here you are. It says Rowan Atkinson's conflict screening report. Now, if I go back and refresh my uLaw, you're going to see that description show up right away. So that's how real time is connected, and we're only going to be pushing the boundary going forward with these integrations. It tells you the name of the file, what type of document is this. So you see right now that this is a PDF. So why don't we generate a Word document? And this goes back to my original presentation where I started off saying you could now have multiple documents at the same time within the same folder. So let's do a retainer letter, for example. Let's do an elaborate, and let's do this as MS Word. As you generate this off uLaw, you are now able to drag and drop this into the Google Drive. And now this is a Word document. So you have two PDFs and a Word document. Now let's go back to uLaw, and let me refresh. And there's your Word document. And you're also able to click this and open Google Drive in real time. So you're always able to do that. So that's no problem. You can click on the PDF. You can open the document. This is something that I mentioned earlier on too. The advantage that you have with Box and Dropbox is that it can open Word documents as they are, and allows you to edit Word documents within Box and Dropbox. Another great example would be driver's license scanning. Let me quickly pause this for a second before I can search for a driver's license. Perfect. And what I've done is I went into Google real quick, and as you could see, I downloaded Mr. Bean's fake ID, and I just dragged and dropped it into my Google Drive. So now you could actually do this in real life. What you would obviously do is you would scan his driver's license, and you would make that now available in uLaw. So when you come back here and you refresh, where you see Mr. Driver's License, and you click on it, and it's actually going to open up, obviously, a very odd-faced Mr. Bean in a very fake address. But I think you get the point. The point is now you have two PDFs, one document, and this is actually, I think, a BMP file or an image file that you get. So you can extend this to many other use cases. This could be scanning your receipts. You could scan your disbursement receipts, most important, right? So you don't have to hold on to those receipts forever. You may want to file it if you are, do your due diligence to make sure that you have the physical copies, but you have now the opportunity to scan these and then make them available in real time within uLaw. And you have this one single source of truth. You're going to continue docketing your time. You're going to continue working on Mr. Rowan Atkinson's file, but at the same time, you have now access to all the documents that are related to his file. Before I segue into Q&A, there was just another simple thing that I wanted to showcase, and this is about the Google or Dropbox or any of those having their own utility. So let's say I want to be able to say Google Drive, and this is all you have to search for, a Google Drive desktop utility, and you can just say desktop, and you would find the options which says download Google Drive now, or install Google Drive for Mac. In fact, Google Drive is available for Mac. Yes, there's a question real fast. Can we get documents that we generate? Absolutely, yes. You could, well, in two things. In uLaw, all those documents that you generated are already there. So if it's a URL-related document, you can always go back in time and regenerate those documents, right? So if you raise an invoice, you can always reprint it. If there's a retainer document, you can reprint it. If there are receipts, you can reprint it. But if you're bringing documents from a previous life, or if these are documents sitting in your, by all means, scan them, or if they're already in an electronic format, you just associate them accordingly here within uLaw. So yes, that's a great question, and the answer is yes, we are able to do this. How does the work? So the quick question is, how does this work for doc storage requirements by LSUSD? That's a good question, and that's one of the things that I mentioned about. LSUSD, I think, is slowly but surely getting comfortable with the whole cloud-based access to information and legal work. But having said that, you may want to consider LSUSD still talks about encryption, especially when it comes to document. And one of my first options, and I can go back to my slide to showcase what. So you do have the option if you have to be, and I would sincerely appreciate if you could check this with an LSUSD coordinator too. But I believe if encryption is something that the LSUSD, I don't think they mandate anything, to be quite honest. But I think they always welcome the fact that you encrypted. Then they consider it to be completely LSUSD compliant. But having said that, you do have that option. You could use Boxcryptor or any software out there. All you have to do is search for client-side document encryption. And before you upload, so when you generate documents from uLaw, you download it into your computer. And as you can see, these documents, I know I'm downloading them, but okay, let me give you an example. If I open up this retainer document, it's going to open up in its real Word format. And now this is then available for you to save it as a Word document. And I use my Windows machine. This is as good as you being able to store it in your desktop, in your downloads, recent places. And these are the utilities that I was talking about that you do a one-time download. So let's do that quick Google Drive check. Let's go to Google Drive. Let's go to uLawPractice. You see the same matter in all the folders. Obviously, this would be for different Google Drive that I've connected with, but you get the picture. You are able to download it. It asks you for your username and password, and it brings up the screen, and you can, in fact, save it right here as a utility. So to answer that question, Tony, you would be downloading it into your desktop. You would take one more step to encrypt it using any of these options that I've provided, or others, whichever you feel comfortable with, and then you would take that encrypted document and then store it into Google Drive, and I think you would be fine. And this is something that I wanted to show you, is that all these documents, whether it's coming from uLaw or elsewhere, especially the ones that come from uLaw, your non-engagement letters or any of those letters, can be stored using that desktop utility. I personally find it very simple and easy. The drag and drop is really cool. And as you're dragging and you're just dropping them, and it's just available. But if you're so used to the traditional way of downloading and saving, you do have that option by downloading the Google Drive desktop utility. Okay, so what's coming up next? So as I said, there's no password to share. We're not asking you to give us your password. It's a one-time setup. You authorize and refresh. That's all you do. Every time you drag and drop a document, you go back into uLaw, and all you're doing is hitting the refresh button. And it's always refreshing, and it's chronological. So if you hit it by ascending or descending, you know the first document we did was client ID, conflict screening, retainer, and then Mr. Bean's driver's license. Okay. I wanted to touch upon a few things before I wrapped up for Q&A. Okay, in the roadmap, and we're already working on this. We're past testing, and we're just wrapping up the deployment of these. The same concept. So if you today use Dropbox or Google Drive, OneDrive or Box, what you can actually do is, let me see if I can open up. So this is my personal Dropbox account that I do use for demos, and you would create manually a folder called uLawPractice, and this is between now and June. If you really want to make sure you catch up for time, between now and June, this is what you could do. Create a folder called Matter. So you would right-click and say New Folder and create it under Matter. And you would right-click and say New Folder. And copy the file number, because that's really our unique reference key. New folder, and that's the name. Creates the folders, and just like how you were able to drag and drop documents into Google Drive, I have a Dropbox utility for this too. So let's do the same thing. Let's open up this Atkinson conflict screening report, and let's save it. And you could use the drag and drop, or you could use the utility. So let me go to Dropbox, uLawPractice, Matter, and here's the folder we created, RA67393, and let's say you save it here. Once you have these documents, they're as good as them being in this format, and when June comes, and when you log into uLaw, and let's say you go into your settings, and then you tell us, you know what, it's actually going to be Dropbox. End of June, what would happen is you would have the same experience. As you can see, it says coming soon, but it will be the same experience that you had with Google Drive, with Dropbox too. And then post-June, it will be the same. You don't even have to manually create these folders. We would create it for you, like how we've done it for Google Drive. Okay, so, and that's important for you to know in terms of what's coming. We're also working with these solution companies for you to be able to drag and drop these documents right into uLaw. But that's a feature that I think is again, going to blow your mind. So essentially, instead of having to drag and drop this into Google Drive, you would actually be able to drag and drop this here. It's not available yet, but that's our plan. Is as you generate documents, you don't have to necessarily go to Google Drive. You don't even have to open Google Drive. But definitely that's coming down our path. And as we integrate with third-party systems, I know this is outside of document storage, but somewhere in line with our thought process, part of our roadmap, when I say roadmap, this is short-term roadmap. So once we're done with this in June, we're thinking about July and August. We're also going to be integrating with email and as well as with notes. We understand our clients use third-party software for notes. So you could have Evernote, or you could have other systems where you're taking notes when you're at court. So just like how you see documents, you'd see another tab next to documents called email. And what that email does is that it allows you to, drag and drop all the email communications that you have with Rowan to be able to quickly, have a track of every email that you've had as a communication. Likewise, if there are very specific notes that you've taken for that matter, then we allow you to, let me quickly search for Mr. Rowan. Go in this matter. So just like documents, we have all the documents related to that particular matter. You would have documents that are then related to, or emails and notes that are related to the matter. So that's all that I had for today. I hope our current uLaw users love this feature, and if uLaw is new to you, we would love the opportunity to showcase the product to you. We're a Canadian legal accounting and practice management software, and we would sincerely appreciate you trying us out. We do offer a 30-day trial at uLawPractice.com. You are able to click on the sign up button. It asks you for some basic information. You sign up, and then we onboard you into uLaw for those 30-day trial and ask for your business if we've earned it. So I am going to now open the floor for any questions and would sincerely appreciate if you could kindly use the chat window as you've been doing so far to ask those questions. And if you like the presentation, though there were no CPD credits, and thank you so much for being here, you probably can type in yay. That was kind of too desperate. There you go. Thank you. We actually had conducted a webinar to document storage, and we had a few questions that were asked. Okay, here's a question. Document storage space. I think I covered that early on. Each provider has their own document storage capacities. I can maybe walk you through. So the question is, did I see email directly? Not yet, but the point I was trying to make is once we're done with integrating with Box, Dropbox, and OneDrive, our next big change or enhancement is to bring two more tabs next to documents called email and notes. And it would be very similar to documents, where it would be slightly different, I guess, with email, where you could open up either Outlook or Gmail. These would be the two major email providers that we'll be working with. And again, you would be able to check those emails and either drag and drop them into uLaw, or you would be able to check those little emails, put them in a folder that you create for uLaw by matter name, and then that's then made available automatically into this section here. In terms of the training options, that was a good question. We provide free support and training at uLaw, but we're slowly but surely, so if you have a question, we would sincerely appreciate if you could send an email to support@uLawPractice.com. We either provide you a quick answer, because most of our support staff, or in fact all of our support staff, have a smart device that's connected with that email address, so we're able to quickly address the question. If you do use uLaw, you probably already know, you could click on the help section and you have this uLaw support that you could click that takes you directly into Join Me, or you could click on help and you could say email support right from here, and you can tell us the reason for this email. I would like demo, document management, today with the next 30 hours, whatever is your timeline, and you can either mail it to sales, which is our default, or that gets tracked and sent to the support staff, and you explain a little bit more, and then we reach back to you within that stipulated time. Now, the other aspect to our support and training, sure, I think the follow-up question there is training videos to how to bring in previous documents, and we can certainly share that with you. As I was continuing to say, one other thing we're continuing to do, and very recently have started doing, is expanding our support by working with other bookkeeping and accounting professionals in this industry. They are a very big part of this industry, and we are getting these bookkeepers and accountants to be certified. We do have one such an accountant who's worked with uLaw very closely, even on this call. And our hope is many legal practitioners need things done at their time. And if for some reason we're not able to do that, We're just saying now you have this extended support of working with these bookkeepers and accountants who are certified in uLaw. And if you currently have a bookkeeper or an accountant that you work with, please do refer us to them, because we would love to showcase uLaw and have them certified, making your lives much more easier. So I was talking about the original document storage space. From our research, Google Drive provides you with 15 gigabytes of data, as well as for the Box and Dropbox provide, I think, 1 gig and 2 gig. Just a quick question is, can this protection work for copyright protections when writing? I believe yes. So when you do encrypt the document, it is encrypted based on the key that you have in control. So you, at all times, are protected by that key. But if you don't have to be that stringent about the process, you're still covered by Google's security, because it is a 256-bit encrypted, secured access to these files, and it is password protected. So it's as good as you getting into your bank account or even your email. So there's 2 levels of security for, especially with encryption. Google provides its own encrypted way of encrypting and decrypting these documents. The second option, obviously, is for you to encrypt this using third-party software before you upload it into any cloud storage. We certainly have 6 or 7 minutes more. If there are any more questions, I do see a few that are being written right now, so I'll wait to take that. How did I, okay, driver's license. Well, I think I was just trying to illustrate something. In the classic case of how you would actually go about doing the driver's license, I'm assuming you would, when the person comes in for that initial consult, the way I did it, I just typed in driver's license, Mr. Bean, and that's how I got it. And I just saved this locally, and I just threw that document into Google Drive. But how you would do it is you would use a scanner. There are quite a few inexpensive scanners that are out there in the market. I think there are even scanners for legal documents, as you say. So, you have best scanners for legal documents. This is kind of a one-size-fits-all. So this is kind of a one-time investment that you could have for your firm. You'd scan that driver's license. Now that automatically would give you a file into your computer just like this. It would jump into your computer like that, and then you would just drag and drop that into Google Drive. So that's how you would do it in the real world. Document formats. Yes, so we covered this during the demo. I'm sorry you had missed it as we were going through. Let me open up uLaw. As you can see here, in our additional fields, we provide the type of file that each of these documents are. So these 2 documents are PDF. You can update the description of these documents or any other thing within Google Drive or other storage systems after June, and then we would make those available here. We're also looking to expand it for version control and other things. But to answer your question, today's storage systems allow you to store files in different formats. So this is Google Drive allowing you to access or to save PDFs, image files, Word documents, even Excel sheets. You could so here's an Excel sheet, and you can basically drag and drop an Excel sheet, and it's made available. So you could have different formats. You see CSV. So you have the opportunity now to save multiple formatted documents that are part of your life, and that's the reality of life, that you don't have just one document or one format, and you make that available and then drag and drop it and make it available within uLaw as well. So I have maybe 3 more minutes before I can wrap this session up, but I hope it was an informational session. Very sunny, bright Friday, so we only can look forward to a great weekend, and well-deserved sunny, bright weekend for us. How do I register for a trial? Great question. I would love to take that any time of the day. I had shown that in my presentation. I think my presentation was not too jazzy. So we have our website, uLawPractice.com. And we provide you sign up for the free 30-day trial. Not sure if you're able to see this. Let me bring my annotation kit out. So right here, you see the sign up for free 30-day trial. You click that, provide your basic information, and hit register. That's how you do that. Early on, I did mention this presentation does not have LSUC credits. This was, again, because we did highlight the uLaw integration, and this was more, I guess, software-centric, so I apologize that it is not. But we do have, we're the 2 LSUC accredited programs that we're going to be running year-long so that everybody can benefit from it, and we're providing it at no charge, are the 2 ones that we're approved for professional credits. The first one is Everything Practice Management, which is 1.5 hours. We're going to be doing that in June. And another very special LSUC-approved CPD would be Essentials of Finance Accounting for Legal Professionals. So that's a 1-hour CPD, and that's also scheduled for June. So these will be running June, July, and August. So if you missed it in April, and if you've missed it early in May, then you're able to catch up. Yes, and from a pricing standpoint, we do have our student subscription as well. We're $340 per year, so that's a value of $29 a month, and our monthly subscription is $39 a month if you were to go month on month. If you're part of CCLA, OPA, or any of our partners who are benefit partners, then you do get the benefit partner pricing of $29 a month for the first year on a monthly basis. And the student subscription for the first year, all students get it at $25 a month. So that's how, and again, the question was about, I'll take this as the last question if that's okay. So the question is around, if closing business, how do you recover docs for storage? Okay, great example. So when you store all this information in Google Drive, you're not really storing it in uLaw. So let me go ahead and delete this Excel sheet that I put into Google Drive, okay? Now let me go back to uLaw. And you're going to see that file now has been taken away from uLaw. So we do not store these documents, but we refer them and we integrate with them so you can open these documents and they're one repository. If you close business, unfortunately, or because you won the lottery, which always is a great story, then you basically would back up these documents for any audit purposes, and you would pretty much shut down the Google Drive where you stole all those documents. So that would be how you would go about it. I think that was pretty much it. If there's any further questions, kindly email them to support@uLawPractice.com, and we'll be happy to answer them. We'll make sure we also send you a copy of this particular recorded session so that you can review that at your own time. So with that, I thank you so much for being part of this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.